Now this video spawned from some spicy comments I got on my last Trophy Pay Lake video. So I'm going to give you the top 5 myths busted of Trophy Pay Lakes. Now as a quick disclaimer, yes, this is based on some opinion, but it's also based on my observation and some facts. So let's jump right into it with the biggest one. Trophy Pay Lakes do not stock weekly. That is completely wrong. They do stock weekly. If you are an owner of a trophy catfish pay lake and you want your pay lakers to catch big fish on a daily basis, you have to stock weekly. I mean, these lakes, ponds, they're not really lakes. They're pulling out catfish every morning. They're wheelbarrowing them out. They're putting them on a trailer. They're dumping them in the woods somewhere. And with that amount of waste, you have to replace the fish. And they do it on a weekly basis. Now, I have actually seen this with my own eyes. I had a buddy who was a guide who also dealt with bait. He would sell skipjacks from time to time. And he got contacted by an Ohio Trophy Pay Lake owner. And that owner wanted 200 skipjacks a week. In the conversation, he said, as clear as day, that he is going down south on a weekly basis to get fish for his Trophy Pay Lake. And on that trip, he wanted to get 200 skipjacks to sell a week every time he went down south. Now, I don't know if he actually filled that order. I did beg him to, turn that conversation over to our wildlife agency because you cannot transport trophy catfish through Tennessee. So if they were getting them in Tennessee, south of us, or in Alabama, they can't. They can't. You cannot keep live trophy fish over the inch limit, and you cannot transport them in either state. And they were basically, breaking that in 2 different states. And here's my cat, finally, in a video. We could have easily set up a trap for them, have them come get the skipjacks after they get their fish down south, and then, had a game warden there. But he didn't want to do it. This particular guide does not like catfish, so I wasn't able to get anything done. But there you have it. They stock big catfish on a weekly basis. That is why the Ohio got drained. That's why lakes around me are getting drained. That's why they're getting busted now in Wheeler. They have to go all the way down to Wheeler now to get good fish. Also, they're heading west now, so they're hitting the Mississippi. Now let's go to the next thing, which is just as absurd as number 1. Aerators extend the life of the trophy fish in the pay lakes, along with adding shad and adding chemicals. That is completely incorrect. And I've spoken to a biologist about this. Now, down in Chattanooga, there is the Chattanooga Aquarium. They have this massive freshwater tank. And it's probably bigger than most pay lake ponds out there. I mean, it's absolutely enormous. And every time I went there, I noticed the blue catfish always had problems. They never looked healthy at all. And I finally got to talk to one of their biologists, and they said that they have trouble keeping large blue cats and small. They just have trouble keeping blue cats in general alive in that tank. And they have a multi-million-dollar filtration system. So if you think a $500 pond aerator is going to keep these fish alive, no, far from it. It's not going to keep them alive at all. That is a myth. it's not going to work. Now, putting shad in there, they get to eat something other than each other. The chemical part, most likely the chemicals that they're putting into their ponds are to activate the fish. It burns their gills and makes them bite anything that's in front of them. That means each other. That means whatever bait you're throwing in the water. When they first put the chemicals in, I bet you could put out a leather glove in that water and catch one of their fish. That's usually the chemicals that they're putting into these tiny ponds just to get their fish to bite. And that's bad. I mean, that just accelerates the wheelbarrowing out of the fish when you get them in a mood like that. It's bad for the fish. It's bad for your reputation. Most of the time, they don't even talk about it. They try to hide, that they're doing that. When they wheelbarrow out the fish, it's in the morning time before they open. They're putting the chemicals in. It's right after they wheelbarrow out the fish, just before the people arrive to fish their pond. Now, number 3, trophy pay lakes are for people that are not close to trophy waters. Oh, this is a huge, huge lie. Most of these trophy pay lakes are in Kentucky and Ohio, and anywhere within Kentucky, anywhere within Ohio, you are within an hour to 2 hours of a trophy fishery. In fact, I had a trophy pay lake that I had never heard of before pop up on my Facebook showing the fish that they were catching. And I'm like, oh, another one. Let's add, I've seen 20, now we got 21. There's more pay lakes than you guys realize. I mean, 20 to 30 pay lakes in Kentucky and Ohio. I don't even know how they're getting the fish in Kentucky now, since there's that inch limit in Kentucky. But they're there. And that new one that I just found, I looked it up on a map, and lo and behold, 5 miles away from it was the Ohio River. The Ohio River is a trophy catfish river. So why would you go to a pay lake instead of going to the Ohio River? And these pay lakes have caused a problem. Some of you say, oh, you don't always catch trophy fish when you go to the Ohio River. Well, I wonder why they have emptied out the trophy fish out of the Ohio River and put them into their ponds. If none of this had ever happened, I bet, like me going to Watts Bar, you could go there and catch a 20-pounder like that. Easily. That's a trophy fish. Not many people, very, very few people have caught a 20-pound catfish. I know, I'm a fishing guide. I have a stake in this, obviously, to be able to put people on big fish. But I'm catching 8-pounders, and people are telling me that's the biggest fish they've ever caught. So if you could go to the Ohio, like I used to be able to go to Watts Bar with one rod, with some skipjack or bluegill or whatever bait, throw it out there, catch a 20-pounder like that, easily, every single time I went there. But that got destroyed by the pay lakes because they started taking fish out. They got harder and harder and harder. And I bet it'd be the same way with Ohio. If there was no trophy pay lakes, the people that are fishing at these pay lakes could go to the Ohio River, drop a line, catch a 20-pounder. And that would potentially be the biggest fish they've ever caught. These trophy pay lakes, they don't need to exist, period. And this is trophy pay lakes. They're all near trophy water. So this is just completely 100% busted. Now, number 4 is a lie that I have seen some of these trophy pay lakes try to say. Trophy pay lakes get their fish from hatcheries and fish farms. That is 110% a lie. When you get it from a hatchery, you're getting, small fish. You're about that big. A fish farm, okay, you might be able to get a 10-pound hybrid from a fish farm. If that fish farm has been around for a while and has, at least 20-year-old fish in it, they could be 20-pounders. And if you were a proper pay lake, taking from hatcheries and farm ponds, and you have multiple lakes. So let's say you have 4 lakes, you could rotate and have people only fish this one this year, this one this year, this one this year, and this one this year. You might have 10 or 15 pounders in there eventually by doing that, by rotating the fish, putting in hybrids, and mainly instead of stocking hatchery fish, every week, you would be stocking shad every week. You put shad in there, make sure there's plenty of food, make sure there's nobody fishing for them. Sure, you might get 15 pounders from a farm pond, but a 15 pounder in these trophy pay lakes, that's a small fish. All of their fish are coming from the wild. They're coming from our public waterways, and because there's so many of these lakes, they are taking out an unimaginable amount of fish out of the water. That's why we see a decline. And I have said that Watts Bar and Fort Loudon are recovering. Me saying that means it's making them a new target because they're closer to them than Wheeler is right now. So no, they're not getting them from hatcheries and farm ponds for these trophy pay lakes. Now, number 5 is one that I decided to add because I kind of had an argument with somebody over this. Trophy pay lakes are just family-friendly pay lakes. They're the same. Trophy pay lakes and family-friendly pay lakes are the same. There's no difference between the two. Okay, I'm going to put you down. There we go. No, they are not. The family-friendly pay lake, which is one that I would support. It's one that I have fished at before when I was a child. They get fish from hatcheries and farm ponds. And these fish, you catch them, you keep them, you eat them. You pay per fish or per pound of the fish that you catch. Some of these family-friendly pay lakes, they will cook them up right then and there. So they have a little, outside dining room and a grill and stuff. They'll grill up the fish. They'll serve it with some vegetables. And you can have, you fish with your family, then sit down for a nice meal. That is a proper pay lake. That is the family-friendly pay lake. I went to one called the Cross-Eyed Cricket when I was younger. And they actually stocked trout and catfish. They had a trout pond, and then they had another pond where they had catfish in it. And in that trout pond, I took a rooster tail there one time. And literally the entire pond followed my rooster tail. Every fish in that pond chased my rooster tail down. And the owner told me that I had permission to use the rooster tail as long as I kept everything that I caught, that I did not throw it back in the water. And what I did was I filled up my bucket, I filled up my neighbor's bucket, the other neighbor. Everybody was using corn and cane poles, and they weren't catching anything. I'd throw the rooster tail out there, fish, 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 fish. I made a bunch of people happy that day because they were able to take a bunch of fish home to cook. That is making memories with your children. These trophy pay lakes are gambling establishments. They now charge you to enter, and then some of them may actually charge you again for the tournaments that happen, and whoever catches the big fish on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, whoever catches the tagged fish, you win money. A while back, there was this one pay lake that got a 100-pound catfish that they stocked. Now, a lot of you said that wasn't a 100-pound catfish, and I kind of agree. It didn't really look like a 100-pounder, but that's what they called it. It was a 100-pounder. They put it in the water. They put a little tag on its dorsal fin. I think it was just a zip tie just to identify it. 8 hours later, a friend of the owner caught that fish. In fact, the way it looked in the video for them removing the hook, it was in the tail. So technically, it may have been snagged. And that fish, that friend of the owner won the weekly tournament, the monthly tournament, and the bounty on that fish. He won a lump of cash, mostly other people's cash, for what looked like a snagged fish. That 100-pound blue was never seen again. It was never caught again in that pond. I'm quite sure within a month it was wheelbarrowed out and thrown in the woods somewhere. So that shows that these trophy pay lakes can't be trusted. You know, if you are paying money for a tournament, you're probably paying out to a potential friend of the owner, potentially, like what happened in that case. And these lakes need to be shut down. Period. You know, I do advocate for inch limits, no transport laws, stuff like that, but we need to hit these pay lakes in the wallet. We need to make laws that state private ponds or commercial ponds can only have hatchery and farm raised fish. That's the only way this is going to stop. And in Kentucky and Ohio, getting these new laws into place is like pulling teeth. And there's other states too that need to be addressed as well, because the states west of these states don't have these restrictions. And that's where some of these pay lakes are going now. Instead of heading down here where they're not supposed to be taking fish, some of them still do, and they're getting caught. I actually was told recently one got caught on Wheeler and got fined. Is that going to stop them from going to Wheeler again? Probably not. They make enough money, they'll pay the fine, they'll come back down to Wheeler and get big fish because that's where they are. We got to stop these pay lakes at the root cause. The root cause is family-friendly pay ponds have turned into trophy pay lakes that take fish from our public waterways. Big fish, lots of them on a weekly basis. And I don't know. I don't know what to do. Tennessee has done good. Because of these laws, we really don't even have pay lakes in Tennessee, the trophy pay lakes, because of our no transport laws, thankfully. Kentucky has now some of the same laws, and they still have some of these pay lakes. I don't know how they exist. Like I said earlier, we need to focus directly on them. There's a lot of there's some organizations like the ACA, the American Catfishing Association, I think. I already forgot their name or whatever. That they're trying themselves to get laws changed or whatever. I think they were part of why Kentucky has an inch limit, but we need to do more than that. We need to address the lakes directly. And I mean, the best thing I can do is make videos like this. I don't want to make videos like this all the time. I'm definitely not I'm going to try my best not to do any more pay lake videos unless more shenanigans happen at a pay lake. Like if they stock a 100-pounder, or if they say something stupid like, oh, we stocked 6,000 pounds today, which a pay lake did last year. And they did that on purpose just to poke fun at us. We want to see a 200-pounder. I want to see a 200-pounder blue in my lifetime. These pay lakes, they're preventing that easily. Now, as always, I want to thank you for taking your time to watch this yet another pay lake video. I really, really appreciate it. And if you would do me a favor, please share this video so more people can know that this is going on. This needs to stop. Period. It needs to stop. And I don't know the best way I can do is just communicate it, and maybe the right ears will hear me. Thanks again for watching. I do hope to see you next time.